welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter. Cody, we are basically now at the point where we are now just dude, a Saturday away. We are one Saturday away, and we will be kicking off, man. How you feeling?
Excited. I'm just excited to get back to spending my entire Saturday just on the couch or in Jack Tri Stadium watching college football for an unknown just amount of time and just basically wasting my Saturdays away doing that.
Same, bro. I can't wait. I can't wait to be there with you, knocking down beers and cheering on the Cyclones. But
Yeah.
we're gonna take a deeper dive. We decided to take a look at, I Bleav it was either yesterday's press conferences from the offensive and defensive coordinator. We're gonna take a look at some things that stood out in the Mauser press conference. What were a few things that stood out to you, Cody?
For me, it looks like Taylor Mauser has so basically one thing that stood out to me was how he kind of mentioned preparing for a big rivalry game like Kansas State this early into the year. And he's mentioned he understands how Iowa State hasn't gone off to their best starts on the offensive side of the ball early in the season. And that's been kind of a pattern that I don't think statistically has been shown and has statistically been proven to be true. But there is this feeling that Iowa State tends to get better as the season goes on. But that doesn't mean that they're playing as well as they could be early in the year. So you have that feeling that we don't exactly play our best football in August and September?
Oh, we don't like now, and this year alone, like it doesn't really afford you to have a lull like we usually do. Like we always will, like in last year's game, everybody was sort of freaking out because we sort of just like once we got up 21-3, we just sat on the ball and just ran that type of thing for the rest of the game because we didn't want to show too much. But you can't afford to do that. We're going to be basically be showing everything because 2 weeks later you gotta be at home and play another big game against your in-state rival. So having your rival like 2 out of the first 3 weeks, like yeah, it's gonna cause you to actually be more aggressive. And I'm interested to see what Taylor Mauser had in this bag of tricks. Another thing I wanted to add is I didn't put this down in my notes, but I did watch it from yesterday about how the possible certain formations where mostly he said they're probably gonna be in 11 and 12 personnel, but he said he wouldn't be opposed to 13 or 14 personnel. And when I heard 14 personnel, I'm like, 14 personnel is terrifying because what are you gonna how what are you gonna do with four tight ends on the field?
Let's be honest. I think we have that capability. We might pull some offensive linemen and they can just essentially become tight end. I'm half expecting either one of the Barrett brothers or Trevor Burr or even Jim Boniface to line up a tight end at this point. I don't know what to expect. That'd be hilarious. That'd be crazy.
Actually, and then it's funny you said that because he mentioned Jim Boniface as getting some work in at tight end. So maybe that's something that maybe we'll see like a lineman touchdown pass maybe in the red zone. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think the same thing back to the offensive line. It looks like, the Taylor Mauser, all the guys on the offensive line in that offensive line room, they're getting rotated to play different positions on the line, whether it's at center, guard, right and left, and tackle. So I think it's for Mauser in the offense. They're trying to figure out what would be the best five to put on the offensive line at any given moment to keep. But I think it's also nice that they're preparing everyone to play different positions on the line, so that way your team, you as a player, you can understand how to play this role in this situation. So I think it's great that this is the type of preparation that the offense is taking in order to get Iowa State to where we as fans think should be, and that's contending for Big 12 titles and contending for college football playoff spots.
Completely agree, and I think that the rotation will also help with the freshness of the team, and being getting guys experience. So hey, maybe Lord willing, we hope this injury bug doesn't hit this room. But if it does, then we'll be able to have people who have been able to have in game experience to come in and play, so they don't struggle and their confidence won't be shaken.
Yeah, yeah. I think one position that I think we have seen some like bright spots with outside the offensive line is the wide receiver room,
Yeah,
especially Xavier Townsend and Chase Soul. Those two, with Mauser in his press conference says, they basically look like they've been there since day one. They don't look like brand new components to the team. They don't look like transfers coming in learning a new offense for the first time. They're mentioned great work ethic, a lot of good habits for the wide receiver room. This is one of the strongest strong receiver rooms that Mauser's had during his time at Iowa State, and that's over 10 years. That includes the likes of Alan Lazar, Hakeem Butler, Deshaunte Jones, Matthew Eden, Deshaunte Jones, to name a few. So that's a Xavier Hutchinson. So that's quite a loaded receiver to talk about. And just the fact that this is one of the stronger ones just shows the progress that has been made for Iowa State in the last 10 or so years.
right. And I mean, it shows the testament of how good a evaluator of talent that Noah Poly is. Noah Poly is an elite evaluator of talent at the receiver position. Really, just to the fact of we have changed our philosophy on the type of wide receiver that we get. We used to always get like a tall guy. I think that's because we were trying to find someone with the ilk of Hakeem Butler. But Hakeem Butler is a freak at that size, and I mean, luckily with the if you guys tune in, I Bleav we did a recruiting thing, a recruiting show about the wide receivers coming in on the 2026 class a week ago. I mean, those guys are going to be freaks coming in for next year's class, and really with that, and like I feel like with that report from Mauser, I think that should definitely ease the worries of the fan base. You know, about hey, we might struggle at receiver. But if he's saying that they're acting like they've been there since day one and like acting like they really haven't had any struggles, that really encouraged me coming going into the week zero game.
Yeah, and then yeah, mentioned week zero. Mauser like mentioned that it can't be a mind game. The game plan for a week zero slash one opponent, and mentions about putting players in a position to succeed. And this is also including this includes communication. It's going to be huge. Granted, this is going to be a neutral site field, but still, I think this is something that's going to be very important for the team as they because we know as the season goes on, there are going to be some very difficult road environments that Iowa State's going to have to take on. But talk about the likes of Colorado uh, and TCU. Those are two places that I think are going to be pretty difficult road trip for them. And obviously on the neutral site. So I think the communication is going to be key. They understand how loud the atmosphere is going to be. They know that they're not going to be one of those teams that's going to be like kind of the hunted because for the longest time, Iowa State had always been the hunter. But now they're going to see what it's like to be on the other side of it. And we'll just have to see how these guys prepare for something of that nature and the preparation, the maturation of these players.
No, I completely agree. And let's talk about some of the other guys in the receiving room. Miser also said that Brett Eskelson and Dom Overby are coming along very well. I Bleav there was a clip on the football page with with Rocco Beck throwing a beautiful ball to Dom Overby. So you can really see that they're having some chemistry coming along with them. Looks like we lost Cody for a bit. We're gonna try to get him back in. Okay, there he is. Did you get any of that?
I think I caught like part of it where you were mentioning like just the connection that Dom Overby and Rocco have. Kind of lost towards the end of it, but I think I've got the big picture of it, and I think yeah, it's amazing to see just the Dom Overby, and I really think he'd be a great like third option, and we also and even Daniel Jackson. I mean, the guy's been dealing with injuries all year. We're looking to see what he can do with a full healthy year. We're hoping that he does finally get that full year just being healthy and being able to contribute in a significant way.
Do you think Cody that he can be the X factor in this offense?
I think yes. If there's a like, if obviously Townsend and Solo are obviously not having the best of games, I think a guy like Jackson who has like the with all of his years being on the team can provide a way provide an option for Rocco to go to when Townsend and or Soul aren't exactly having the best of games.
I think that, and then just if you remember the passing game in 2023, like um Daniel Jackson was that spark plug. Like I just think back to that Oklahoma State game where he was just getting open, where he can be that deep threat guy. I think that's what that was. Like we did take a few deep shots, but I feel like last year if we would have had him, we would have taken a lot more deep shots downfield because he could be that guy who has a burner and he can get open. So I mean, obviously Chase Soul is that guy too, but I think he can be a guy that could contribute in that way.
Yeah. I think explosive plays are going to be what can separate us from what we used to be. Because, I mean, we'll have explosive plays here and there, but if we can produce them more often, that's going to make us even more dangerous of an offense than we already have been. And that opens up a lot more for us, especially in the run game and
Right.
like in the middle levels for our tight ends, and they could possibly be able to feast on the defense who's already stretched thin because of the threats of Soul and Daniel Jackson stretching the secondary thin.
Yep. And and lastly, before we go on to a few more things before I want to talk about before we go on to the defensive coordinator. Another two things I found interesting was I mean Mouse even said this on the interview that I had with him in April, which feels like just so long ago now. Time goes by so fast, but he said that he feels like there were some missed opportunities in play calling last year, and there's some things that he regretted. And he said that he vows to grow and not dwell on last season's failures because he felt like there was a lot more that he could have done out there, but he vows to be a better overall guy, and it's good when your offensive coordinator knows his faults, but knows that he needs to improve. Also, he's just saying that like Rocco needs to clean up things things, probably like pre-snap and maybe some angles on throws and stuff. Just a few things that you can clean up. But with that, I mean, I don't think you really can be mad. Like having a offensive coordinator like that that's very very self aware, I think is a very very good weapon of an offensive coordinator that can be great someday.
For sure, and I'm just excited to see what year two can bring because we saw some explosive plays out of year one. Whatever's in store for year two, I'm just excited. I'm waiting to see what Mauser has up his bag of tricks.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, bro. That halfback pass in that Utah game stands out to me still. I still can't believe he pulled that off.
Yeah, I mean there was the one last week, the week before that in Cincinnati, where I think it was like what was it? Kloss was just wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah, yeah, that was great.
And just like I think there were a couple times where I think we even was being bold, and it was also like it's just being able to take some of those shots. I think that's gonna, like I said, those deep shots. I don't know when they connect, they're so satisfying.
That and then the basically the touch push on basically every fourth and short. Like I love the fact that we always get that and the way that Rock it's a skill. It is a skill. I don't know how Rocco picks it up every single time, but it is a skill to get that first down every time.
And he leaves like no question about it either,
Mm-hmm.
because he'll be a yard past the marker, which is great. And I mean that's been great for especially our fourth and goal, like goal line short situations, whatever. Like especially in the UCF game and in the Pop Tarts Bowl. So having that in our bag really shows that we aren't gonna go like if it's there and if it's short orders, we're going for it because we're not leaving it up to chance.
Right.
Like they basically like they're controlling the game. Like they want to be able to have the ball in their hands and make these plays.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're gonna take a look on that and we're gonna take a break real quick just to tell you guys, please like and subscribe to the pod. If you didn't listen to Monday's game preview, that is already in the feed. K State fans, Iowa State fans, everybody who's listened to this live, listen to that previous pod. Also like and subscribe to the other episodes that we have. Maybe listen on iHeartRadio, maybe you listen on Apple Podcasts, maybe you listen to Spotify. But like and subscribe, please, and thank you.
Yep. And then one more thing. Our show is being brought to you by FanDuel.
Yes.
The week zero odds are live right now. I'm taking a look. Kansas State is it currently a 3.5 point favorite over the Cyclones. The over under of that game is 49.5. There are also some other week zero games that I'm looking to, such as Kansas hosting Fresno State. You've got the reigning Mountain West champion Boise State. Broncos heading down to South Florida. And then and then take a look here. And then as we go into that's I think that's week 1. But as we
Hmm.
take a look into week 1 as well, Nebraska is a 6.5 point favorite over Cincinnati. And then Auburn is a 2.5 point favorite at Baylor. I'm trying to see. And the big game that everybody's going to be talking about on this day, Ohio State, the reigning defending national champions, are a 2.5 point favorite over the Texas Longhorns.
Yes, thank you for that update, Cody. Make sure to get your bets in with FanDuel. All right. Thank you for that quick break. All right, we are going to go into what things that stood out in the John Haycock press conference. What are some things that stood out to you, Cody?
Definitely the big thing for me was the pass rush. Now, that was the question I think everybody has been asking for, especially just with the way the defensive line was not able to be as productive as I would have liked it to be. So, some things John Haycock talked about when it came to improving the pass rush is they're not gonna change anything significant. They're not gonna just all of a sudden be a blitz team. Like they're not just gonna be blitz all the time. They haven't been a blitz team. They never will be, and okay, they're looking to get back to using coverage sacks. But and I mean, I think in previous years we've had that for sure. It's just
Mm-hmm.
having the guys that can do like those. The names I can think of right now: Ray Lima, Spencer Ben, Jaquan Bailey, and then bring down linebackers like Mike Rose and Marcel Spears, Ryan Vance, having those kind of guys on the defensive line. So that way we don't have to worry about, you know, forcing like having us to put like 5 or 6 guys on the line. So that way we can try to get pressure on the QB because that leaves our coverage thin.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and that, yeah, getting back to the basics, honestly. And I think one thing he said that's really stood out to me is a quote that was just like ringing in my mind. He said that they believe that they were playing a bunch of defenses and not playing defenses. Now, obviously, you look at that quote, you're like, what is he talking about? Well, you see the defense had a lot of injuries last year, so they had a whole bunch of guys just playing positions and playing different formations, but they weren't really just playing the type of defense that Iowa State wants to play, which I think is a legit reason to why they had the struggles that they had.
Yeah. I think, I mean, there were times where we just were struggling to really wrap guys up, getting guys in the right spot. And I mean, part of it is just the execution of the play, but also, just imagine having to change like your defense formation week in, week out because another guy on the defense just got dropped with an injury. Another linebacker's out for this game with an injury. Defensive back is out with an injury. And then you're just stretched thin. You're playing like these guys that you didn't expect to play heading into the season. But
Right.
now I think we should have a good opportunity for that. And everybody, at least like I think almost every single player on our team on the defensive side has had some sort of in-game experience. So I think
Mm-hmm.
yes, it was not a great defensive like overall performance last year, but I think heading into this year, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise because now you have all these players that have in-game reps. They know how to handle these in-game situations, and I think that's for the better. And we can use that in the right way. It could be an advantage for our defense.
Completely agree. And there's a lot of the young guys who stood out. A few of the notable names, a few names. So it's a list. So bear with me. Marcus Neal, Jace Gilbert, a guy who was supposed to see playing time last year but was hurt. Elijah Carnell, Kajon Cummins Coleman, who we talked about in previous shows. Benny Ngoyi, who's learning the nickel position, who converted from wide receiver, and we've been blessed to have good corners to convert from wide receivers. So I think he'll maybe be the next great one. So I mean, like having the young guys come in, and also another guy to look for out for is Quentin Taylor, who's also been having a good position or a good camp. Man, like it's just it'll be interesting to see how this defense responds. I do think that some like I do think the running game, the run defense will improve though. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I just think last year was an outlier because we were just decimated with injuries on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I think our run defense is going to get back to the median. And I mean, Iowa State consistently overall as a unit has been top 5, top 6 in the conference. And I think that's going to continue to be the case as long as John Haycock is at the helm. And especially with this game, like, and how important it is, you're getting a really big test for your run defense in week 0 with Dylan Edwards coming back. And obviously the legs of Avery Johnson, who, I mean, John Haycock self-called Avery Johnson a Heisman candidate. And with and then Jace Brown as well is another impact player to look out for. So those three are going to create very good challenges for this defense in different ways. It's just going to come down to, can our guys on the defensive side make plays when they matter the most and limit Kansas State's impactful players.
Yeah, I think more than ever, we're gonna need guys on the outside and speed on the outside to counter the. They're definitely gonna be running the option with Edwards and Johnson. So that's gonna be interesting to see if K State starts off with the ball, how they're gonna do it. Is there anything else that stood out to you, or any other interesting topics that you found interesting in the Iowa State sports world, or that you wanted to cover?
Not anything I could think of. I mean, real quick, I just saw this. A couple of our guys are continuing to be recognized. Defensive transfer Tamatoa McDonough has been recognized as is on the Polynesian Player of the Year award, and I think it rings true. There's something about Polynesian players on the offensive or defensive line. Those guys tend to be really good. And I think we could potentially be having another great Polynesian offensive or defensive line player with Tamatoa. And Rocco Beck is officially on the Manning Bowl award watch list. So another preseason watch list for Rocco Beck as he looks to continue leading the Iowa State Cyclones and looking to improve on his year. And most recently, this is about an hour ago, Daniel Jackson has been selected by Matt Campbell for the 2025 Jack Trice Endowed Scholarship. This recipient is a football student athlete who portrays courage, character, selflessness, leadership, dedication to the community, and both academic and athletic achievement, all traits of Jack Trice. Another great thing. It's great. Another great thing for Daniel Jackson. I think Daniel Jackson was a great choice to receive this scholarship.
Well, congratulations to Daniel Jackson. You definitely deserve it after everything that you've gone through with injuries and stuff like that. All right. I think we are going to call it quits today. Thank you, everybody who is watching the live stream. I Bleav there's like about 29 or 30 people watching the live stream right now. So thank you, you live stream sickos. We appreciate your support. Few things before we go. Basically our podcast business. We are a top 15 sports podcast in the state of Iowa, and we are a top 40 most listened to podcast in the state of Iowa, nominated by FeedSpot. Thank you, FeedSpot. Thank you, state of Iowa listeners. We love you more than you'll ever know. Find Cody on Twitter at Matt Campbell Impersonator. Cody, what are you talking about?
The Big 12's ruling of the injury report, and I'm having some fun with it. And obviously, the Iowa State Fair. I've gone to that this week, and I got to see both the Pop-Tarts Bowl trophy and the Cyhawk trophy in person, and they look great at the Iowa State stand.
And you want to know what the best thing is? The Cyhawk trophy will be saying in Ames once again.
Yeah. Come the State Fair next year, it'll still be with Iowa State, the Iowa State stand. That's what I'm expecting.
Yes, sir. Also, before the social media, find me on Twitter at SideTieGuy. Basically, I'm talking about, a little bit about the Cowboys sparingly, even though with the whole Netflix documentary thing, and basically Jerry Jones saying that he wants the Cowboys to stay relevant, but he basically just said that he doesn't really care about winning. So I every day that goes by that he opens his mouth, I continue to care less and less about the Cowboys, and it's really, really sad. So, but whatever. I know y'all don't care about that. But follow us on social media at Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and also on Twitch at Bleav in ISU, BLEAV in ISU 2025. So that will be the conclusion of today's show. So for Tyler Carter,
And for Cody Vinculum,
this is the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
go Cyclones.